Good morning. It's a joy to welcome you to Newman Lumen on this bright and sunny but slightly chilly Thursday morning. We are so glad to welcome a couple of folks today. First, we'll be hearing music from Anthony Hotakainen, who is a member of the class of 2026. He's a music production and recording arts major with a minor in jazz studies. He's from Minnesota originally, has produced much of his own music, an exciting tidbit that is not included in his bio, but he has a Christmas album that is releasing at midnight tonight, and so there's a launch party at Oak House. What time? 8 to 9:30. If you are ready to put away your Halloween decorations and really embrace the Christmas spirit. So please help me to welcome Anthony this morning. This morning, we're going to be hearing words from Dr. Naeemah Clark, Associate Provost of Academic Inclusive Excellence. Dr. Clark serves as the Associate Provost for Academic Inclusive Excellence, as well as a professor of cinema and TV arts in the School of Communications. I have to admit that when I reached out to Dr. Clark about speaking several months ago at this point, it was nowhere on my consciousness that the first week in November would mark the year anniversary of a pretty major presidential election in our nation. And when I think about that and the year that our nation has had, there's no one else I would rather be hearing from this morning than Dr. Clark. So whether it's serendipity or very, very intentional that she's here, either way, I'm so glad that we have the opportunity to hear words from her this morning, where she'll be reflecting on where her heart and mind have been over the past 366 days and create some thought-provoking and humorous space for us to reflect as well. So help me to welcome Dr. Naeemah Clark.
Oh my gosh, look at all of you. Thank you so much for coming. I had a horrible dream 2 nights ago that no one showed up. It was just me and Randy Williams. This is Randy's favorite day of the week. He loves this moment, so I'm honored. I'm honored that he's here. I'm honored that the rest of you are here too. But before I can address in this moment, I must reflect on another moment. August 19th, 2024, John Dooley, where's John Dooley? There he is. John Dooley and I stood on the stage, on the side of the stage in Quarry Gym, and we were wearing bright red, matching red t-shirts with the words "Vote" screaming in blue across the chest. I was so excited, first, that I convinced him to wear a matching shirt, although let's be honest, it wasn't all that hard. And second, that we were kicking off a cavalcade of programs, speakers, and dialogues in preparation for the big election. To me, civic engagement and participatory democracy are among the greatest benefits of a liberal arts education. And because of my role at the university, I get to drive some of the efforts that hone critical thinking, evidence-based decision-making, knowledge of history, and understanding of self, all tools that students carry with them into the voting booth. I was looking forward to seeing the plans that the election 2024 team made come to life. I recall walking on the stage to applause and some chuckles at our visual representation of aspiration, energy, and hopeful encouragement. In this moment, 444 days later, some of that aspiration, energy, and hope have turned to frustration, sadness, and some fear. In the past 284 days, immigrants have to question their safety in a country built by immigrants. Some of the greatest medical minds in the world have been stymied by conspiratorial public health proclamations, and much like the walls of the East Wing, faculty members' confidence in the principles of academic freedom have been demolished with the stroke of a pen. For me, the prevailing thought is that the history of America is being shaped by those who, I fear, do not truly understand the promise of this democracy. And I know some of you will agree with me, and others will not. Actually, tens of millions of Americans don't agree with me. Millions of my neighbors, including some of you, think that my perspectives are anti-American, that my lifelong commitment to creating inclusive and equitable outcomes means that I am discriminatory, destructive, and radical. And you certainly can leave this sacred space and think that I am. But if I am, then I don't know how to be anything other than who I am and who Betty and Ken Clark raised me to be. Well, Ken is actually quite radical. He hung a 4-foot portrait of Malcolm X in the family room several years ago when my mom's best friend brought her conservative boyfriend to Thanksgiving dinner. He calls into radio shows. It argues with conservative pundits. Recently, he said, and my daughter works at a university. I was like, please don't say what university. Please don't. And in 2020, he may or may not have walked through his neighborhood and created a liberation day for people's Trump signs as he tossed them into the bushes surrounding the golf course where they live. But there are key life lessons he taught me that might be useful for all of us as we navigate political pendulum swings. So here are 3. First, when I was bullied by a boy in 6th grade, who I'll call Michael Romero because that was his name. And I will just also say, he played the saxophone. So I'm a little triggered, but anyway. The advice was, from my dad, the advice was, if he hits you again, pick up a book and hit him as hard as you can. Of course, he was suggesting that I hit the kid with my history book, but I'm deciding to take a less violent approach and say that what he really was saying was that facts, clarity, and a liberal arts education are how we fight against fear and confusion during these times. Number 2, don't be a chump. While he screams that at the TV when he's watching Jeopardy finalists make paltry wagers at the end of the show, every day, the sentiment holds during all contests that challenge who we are, know your values, and hold on to them. Being your full self and standing by what you believe always wins in the final round. Bending for the sake of a compact or a not legally binding order that runs counter to your mission means that that mission wasn't authentically who you were in the first place. Third, don't walk behind people and pay attention to your surroundings, which he would frequently say when we would step on his heels, right? You see, when you stand behind people, they can't see you, but you also can't see what's around you. You can't see where you're going, you're just following. Keep your eyes up and focus on what's ahead of you. I know that my life's work is to create equitable outcomes for my students. That's where I'm heading. It would be easier to stand still or use the person in front of me as cover as I plod along. But to deliver on my promise to my students means I must navigate around obstacles. So, in this moment, I'm grateful to be at a university where I can take Ken Clark's advice. Keep my eyes up, don't be a chump. Grab the nearest book to fight back. Not all of our colleagues around the country or even in this state can do the same. The day Barack Obama was elected, I remember going to the grocery store with a spring in my step. It was as if I had been given a cool glass of water and I didn't realize how thirsty I was. When that moment changed in 2024, I'm sure some voters felt the same way I did. This week, the pendulum made a tiny swing back, and some of you may be feeling frustrated or disappointed. I believe Ken would say it's okay for you to apply his life lessons as you make sense of this new political moment, even if he ripped up your yard sign. Thank you.